Jess Hilarious is not funny to me at all. And I want to talk about why it doesn't matter what I think. And it doesn't matter what anyone thinks about Jess Hilarious. The only people that should matter to her are her supporters, the people that find her funny, the people that show up for her, that go to her shows, that listen to her on the Breakfast Club, etc. So really quick, this is a Curated Legacy podcast, unscripted, no makeup, just lip gloss. And I want to, in many ways, set an example because a lot of times what stops people from getting started on YouTube are all the barriers. So today, through the lens of Just Hilarious, I'm going to be talking about barriers that stop people from growing. And like I said, I don't have a script for this. This is different than my regular videos, so not all the bells and whistles. I will be featuring a plant because I love succulent plants. So in some of my podcast episodes, I'll have a plant. I also have some green juice, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about this a little bit later. But I want to take a different approach here because a lot of people, when they talk about Just Hilarious and this whole blow up, and if you're not familiar with what's going on, just look it up because this video is for people who are interested in creating content on YouTube, as well as artists, creatives, and people who are interested in listening to all things art, creativity, etc. So this video is for creators, okay? So I don't want to get into the weeds. Excuse me, adjusting a little bit. I don't really want to get into the weeds about the drama because this video is not about that. This is more of a talk, a lot more relaxed than my other videos, my regular videos. And so I'm going to assume that we all have common knowledge about what happened. And if you don't, please look it up. Just Hilarious. I want to approach this whole situation from a different perspective. And what I want to do is provide a perspective that maybe you haven't heard. Because I listened to 30 minutes of an interview that Just Hilarious did some years ago. And I realized something. And I realized something that I haven't heard anybody say. So Just Hilarious essentially got her start in the way that many of you perhaps are hoping to get your start, which is through social media. So this was, I'm just going to estimate maybe 7 or 8 years ago, she blew up because she started just posting, and she had a regular 9-to-5 job, and she decided to start posting comedy skits. And, she put it out there, and next thing you know, Nick Cannon was hitting her up to go on the show Wild 'N Out. She said Martin Lawrence hit her up. Will Smith apparently said he loved her work. So she just started getting a lot of recognition from noteworthy celebrities. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, I'm not saying that any of you want to be Just Hilarious or have her path, because it's very rare what happened with her. But I want to highlight the way in which she, in many ways, is self-made, and the opportunity that exists for you if you are interested in creating content on YouTube. I'm going to insert Issa Rae, Justin Bieber, right? Just two people who blew up off of YouTube and or social media. There's probably a lot of other names that you can name. Please put into the comments any other people who have blown up from YouTube. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot. But so Just Hilarious is self-made. This is one thing we need to understand. Now, in comparison to Lauren, who is now on the Breakfast Club co-hosting with Jess, and the whole issue being, Jess feeling some type of way about Lauren still being in her spot Lauren being in Jess's spot after Jess came back from maternity leave. You have to see it as two different paths. So Lauren, my understanding is that she didn't blow up from social media, but she got her start on TMZ. And as a result, she has a particular skill set, which is apparently very professional. The way she reports, she's a reporter, she's also a producer. So a lot of people are looking into this situation and saying, well, Lauren is so much more professional than Jess. And they're, listing kind of like Lauren's journalist-based skills. Now, again, Jess is, I consider her to be a little bit more untrained, but this is not bad. And see, this is what we need to see. I think what's happening is that we're comparing apples and oranges, and I'm not in any way saying that Jess Hilarious is not smart. I started off by saying a truth that I have, which is I don't find her funny. I also don't find B. Simone funny. I don't find DC Young Fly funny. It could be my age, the fact that I'm aging myself, but I am in my early 40s. So that type of comedy, I don't find funny at all. I also don't find Tiffany Haddish funny, but that's a conversation for another time. But the point is this. There are people who find Jess Hilarious absolutely funny. Jess attached the name Hilarious to her name for that reason. The fact that she would have people like Martin Lawrence and Will Smith and Nick Cannon hitting her up speaks volumes. So in no way am I saying that Jess Hilarious isn't smart, but clearly she has a different skill set than Lauren. And so what's happening is that people are comparing these two women. Jess Hilarious, now we're getting into the barrier here, Jess Hilarious also is comparing herself now to Lauren. She's feeling something that we don't talk about a lot, which is imposter syndrome. This is my opinion. Jess Hilarious is suffering now suffering from what we call the imposter syndrome, not feeling as though she is enough. Despite the fact that she rose to fame on her own. Again, self-made. I'm not saying she didn't have an assistant or, people helping her, but for the most part, people who blow up on social media, they are the ones putting in the work day in and day out, hours and hours and hours, putting out video after video, right? It's a lot of work. And she put in that work, and it's to the point now where she's, apparently booking out shows in different cities and always going on tour. And, she has a good resume, which is why the Breakfast Club, I'm assuming, wanted to hire her. And now she's questioning her value because everybody is fixated and highlighting Lauren as being better than Jess. Excuse me. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make as a potential content creator, as someone who wants to be online, to have an audience, to get your message out there, get your face out there, get your ideas out there. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is the mistake that Jess Hilarious is making right now. In my opinion, even Jess Hilarious does not see her own value. I'm gonna demystify something real quick. Excuse me. When it comes to certain jobs, I would say any job, you hear people often say things like, you can be replaced, you're replaceable, And I say that is true with a lot of positions out there, depending on what it is. We all know the rise of AI and the rise of automation and technology is taking the place of humans. So to some extent, it's a real statement that you could be replaced, or I could be replaced, or anybody could be replaced. But in many ways, that's false, right? Because when it comes to creative jobs, when it comes to creativity, I don't believe that at all. There's a there's a YouTuber who I call my favorite content creator because she literally is my favorite YouTuber. There is no way that she can be replaced. In fact, if she stops posting, I literally will be sad and perhaps go into a brief depression. I'm exaggerating, but I don't believe that when it comes to creativity, people are replaceable. I don't believe that. Even me, I have a small channel, about 24,000 subscribers. You guys may say, well, why do you have a business where you coach people to start on YouTube and you only have 24,000 subscribers? Well, it's because I believe in my value, my worth, my ideas, my creativity, my years of experience in media, my years of experience with teaching. And I know for certain that I cannot be replaced. Now, can someone copy me? Can someone imitate me? Can someone try to do what I do? Of course. But no one is going to do it like me. No one is going to do it like you. There is only one you. So let's go back to Jess Hilarious and the imposter syndrome that she's feeling right now, the insecurity, because the internet, the world has told her that she's not as valuable as Lauren because, I heard something about her not reading as well, or maybe even Jess Hilarious mentioned her not reading as well or not being as well researched, right? Again, maybe her, I don't know. Some of this is maybe speculation about Jess Hilarious kind of brings a more urban vibe. My understanding is she's from Baltimore, so she brings a different vibe, which may to some people come off as not as professional. In my opinion, that is going to be Jess Hilarious's superpower. And her trying to be more like Lauren. Now, let me just say this. It doesn't mean that as people, we can't improve. We should always be trying to improve. With every video, you guys can't necessarily notice this, but with every video, there are improvements that I make. And I've been doing this for 2.5 years. Once July comes, it will make 3 years for me creating on this platform. I will never be able to stop improving. The moment I stop improving, my channel will stop growing. Plus I coach, I'm a YouTube coach. So the moment I stop improving, I won't be able to coach anymore, right? Because coaching is, it's a process that evolves. But Just Hilarious, the big mistake that she's making is allowing other people, the internet, people who she does not know, people who are going to dislike her. Many of them, like I just said, I'm sitting here defending Jess Hilarious and I don't find her funny at all. But this is not about Jess Hilarious. This is about the create. This is about a woman who was able to build a massive following, enough that got the attention of celebrities. That is what this is about. So Jess, why are you questioning yourself? Why are you doubting yourself? Now, I do want to say that, and this is for a lot of people criticizing her, what Jess expressed out loud is oftentimes what many of us are too afraid to say. So in some ways, was it, do I recommend a person doing what she did and going on Instagram Live and complaining about their job and then showing up the next day at their job and then confronting their coworkers. No, I don't recommend that. But it is a very human thing for us all to at some point be like, am I good enough? Is she better than me? Especially women, because women are very competitive and we compete differently than men. So it makes sense. But, and so I don't think that people should be shaming her because it's like, well, it's very human. I think maybe the mistake is her going on Instagram Live and airing that out as opposed to perhaps trying to have maybe another conversation with Lauren or, you know, doing it in a different way. But this is what I want you to know. If you want to get started on YouTube, if you want to grow, you have to remove the barriers. And there are so many barriers. A lot of times the barriers are in our minds. Many times the barrier is us. We are the barrier. We get in our own way. We overthink things. We compare ourselves to other people. Everything that Jess is doing now. I mean, it would not surprise me if either the Breakfast Club perhaps may let her go at some point or she decides to leave. As opposed to her showing up in her power and owning her space. Because that's really what it's about. YouTube is not about looking at other people and saying, I mean, it's okay to look at what other people are doing. But it's not about, oh, well, she's already doing that, or this person is better than me, or look how many subscribers this person has, or oh, they got those many views. We're all human. We're going to do that. But it's ultimately about owning your power, your space, what you are good at. And that, you know, that may be something that only you know, and your community. So who you're really waiting to find is your community. That is who I had to find. I have a video that 854,000 people have watched. Well, at least that's how many views it has. And I have 24,000 subscribers. So that means that there were a lot of people who saw that video who did not hit the subscribe button. And that is okay. I could say, oh, well, I'm such a failure. How do I only have 24,000 and this video, you know, reach the masses like that? Well, again, I need to reframe that, because instead of me focusing on who's not in my community, I should be focusing on the people who are, the people who did hit subscribe, and more importantly, the people who keep showing up video after video. Those are the people who I need to be focused on. Jess should be focused on the people that come to her shows, the ones who actually laugh at her jokes. Not me, but the people who find her funny. There are people who find her funny. I mean, again, she's a comedian. She does stand up. She does skits online. People, and even the interview I listened to, it was an old Breakfast Club interview. She had Charlemagne the God and DJ Envy. They were just cracking up the whole time. They were laughing so hard. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't see what they're laughing at. I don't get it. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter if I get it or not, because I am not Jess's target audience. So the real question is, why is she fixated and focused on people who are not part of her target audience, on people who are not supporters, on people who don't care about her, who probably don't find her funny like me? Why is she so focused on them and not honing in on the communities of folks who are supporting her, who are, you know, showing up at her shows and so forth? So that is a mistake that she is making. And that is a mistake that a lot of us make. And my hope is that this does not ruin her career. My hope, even though, right, because this is not, you know, like I said, I don't find her funny. But it's not about me. It's about the people who wait. There are people who wait for her videos. They can't wait until she says another joke. And that is who matters. So I wanted to say all that because you guys know I have excuse me. You guys know, you've been seeing the name Curated Legacy for a while. That is my business. It is a media company, and I offer coaching and consulting to those who want to get unstuck, get started, and grow on YouTube. And myself, my journey, at one point I was stuck, and I finally got started almost a few years ago now, and I am growing. And not only growing as far as numbers, channel numbers, but also growing as a person. And if you want to know, if you're looking for a coach, someone to help you get your channel going, because one question I think that comes up is, well, how do I know that you are a good coach or that you're going to be good with me? And I think a lot of times it comes down to the connection that you feel with the person. So if, as I'm talking, that's one of the reasons for this podcast, is for me to be a little bit less curated and a little bit more kind of in my element and just talking. And I understand this is going to be a smaller audience who I'm talking to. But just so you know, I offer a service, which is YouTube coaching. And I also coach in other areas. And so if there are other areas, if you're an artist, a creative, there are other areas, I would like to chat with you about what those areas are to assess if I'm able to help you. But I think I said everything I want to say in this video. Now, just an update as far as the channel. I think what I'm going to start doing is doing every other week. So my regular videos probably will be every other week. And then these videos for my business will probably be in between. So every other week for both. I think that's what I'm going to do. But I do have a video I'm going to put out about Michelle Obama and her podcast. So stay tuned for that. And again, I realize that you guys did not subscribe for this type of content. I actually talked to a coach myself who gave me the advice, because I was going to actually start a whole nother channel. And she gave me the advice to post this here and to see how it works here first. So that's what I'm doing. Again, I don't have a script, but I just hope that this encourages you. Again, I'm going to try to keep the editing very light on these types of videos. So just bear with me, but this is me. Again, like I said, this is me, no makeup on, and just, unfiltered, raw content, which is rare. And, you can't be afraid of showing up in a way that is rare. Because if you do decide, real quick, I'll give you these stats. If you decide to start a channel, and if you're able to grow your channel to at least 10,000 subscribers, you are now in the top 10% of YouTubers. Most people, 90% of people who start a YouTube channel never grow their channel to 10,000 subscribers. And then the other stat, and I posted this, is being monetized. So only 6% of YouTubers will make it to become monetized. And so I'm giving you these numbers to let you know that it is, we don't think it's rare because we see all of these big channels. Keep in mind that, of course, we see the big channels because that is how the algorithm works. That is who is kind of pushed out there, right? But we don't see all the channels that might be invisible to us because they're not part of our algorithm. And so, yeah, it's rare, but it's possible. And I am an example of that. And also my client, shout out to Marriage Mindfulness. I posted about this, but her channel just became monetized. She is an example of what's possible. And there are strategies and things that you can use to grow your channel. So again, I'm going to leave it here. My name is Naka, and this is the Curated Legacy Podcast, episode 2. go into the description box, click those links. My website is there. You can subscribe to my website to get my newsletter. Also, if you want to move forward with coaching and consulting, you can go to the contact me page on my website to fill out the form so I can get your information and follow up with you. I have a book on Amazon about being an invisible Black woman. I have a membership, channel membership group called Black and Invisible. Follow me on Instagram if you feel so inclined to do that. And I really need to, you would think after saying this, I have over 300 videos on my channel. You would think after saying this so much, I would have all this memorized, but I think that's it. Oh, my Black-owned store. So I also have a Black-owned store. So the link for that is in the description as well. If you are interested in purchasing Black-owned products that I have personally used and that I really do love. So that is all for now. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Curated Legacy podcast. Bye.